Tonight we're diving into why the speed of light matters to your smartphone. Forget everything you think you know about physics. This is the real story. And trust me, your entire digital life depends on something moving at exactly 299,792,458 meters per second. Not a meter faster, not a meter slower. So before you get too comfortable, hit that like button if you enjoy having your mind properly blown, and let me know in the comments what phone you're watching this on. Now, dim the lights, maybe grab that device you can't live without, and let's jump in. You wake up tomorrow morning and reach for your phone. Same routine as always, except this time something's different. The universe decided to tweak one tiny detail overnight. The speed of light is now 10% slower. Your alarm doesn't go off. Your phone won't unlock. The screen flickers with colors that shouldn't exist. Welcome to a world where physics just pulled the rug out from under your entire digital existence. Here's the thing, nobody tells you your smartphone isn't just using the speed of light, it's completely dependent on it. Every calculation, every pixel, every wireless signal is precisely choreographed around this universal constant. Those billions of transistors packed into your processor, they're switching on and off millions of times per second, with electrons racing through silicon pathways at about 2/3 the speed of light. If that speed changes even slightly, the timing falls apart like a house of cards in a hurricane. Think about what happens when you tap your screen. Your finger creates a tiny electrical disturbance that ripples through the digitizer at, you guessed it, the speed of light through glass, which is about 200 million meters per second. The touch controller measures exactly when this signal arrives from different parts of the screen, triangulating your finger's position with nanosecond precision. Change the speed of light, and suddenly every tap registers in the wrong place. You try to open Instagram and end up calling your ex at 3 in the morning. But we're just scratching the surface here. Your processor runs at speeds measured in gigahertz, billions of cycles per second. Each cycle is precisely timed based on how long electrical signals take to propagate through the chip. Engineers literally design these chips with the speed of light as a fundamental constraint. They calculate exactly how far a signal can travel in one clock cycle and place components accordingly. It's like designing a city where everyone moves at exactly 186,282 miles per second, and if anyone slows down, the entire infrastructure collapses. The heat coming off your phone right now, that's the speed of light in action. Billions of electrons screaming through circuits so small, they're approaching quantum scales, generating friction as they bounce off atoms and each other. You're literally holding a piece of barely controlled chaos that would have been considered impossible magic just 50 years ago, and you use it primarily to watch cat videos and argue with strangers on the internet. Comment below if you've ever felt your phone get hot and wondered what was happening inside. Spoiler alert, it's conducting a symphony of electromagnetic radiation that makes a symphony orchestra look like a kid banging pots and pans. Every component is singing at frequencies beyond human perception, all perfectly synchronized to the cosmic speed limit that governs our universe. Let's dive deeper into this electromagnetic madness. Your phone's display refreshes between 60 and 120 times per second. Each refresh requires millions of pixels to receive their color instructions at exactly the right moment. The signals travel from the graphics processor to the display controller through copper traces thinner than a human hair, and they need to arrive within picoseconds of each other. If the speed of light were different, you'd see screen tearing, ghosting, and colors that would make your eyes bleed. But here's where it gets properly weird. Each pixel in your OLED display isn't just one light source, it's actually 3 or 4 subpixels, each emitting a specific wavelength of light. Red at about 700 nanometers, green at 540, blue at 450. These wavelengths are determined by quantum mechanics and the speed of light. Change that speed, and red isn't red anymore. Your carefully curated Instagram feed becomes a psychedelic nightmare of impossible colors. Now you might think your phone is quiet when it's sitting in your pocket, but electromagnetically speaking, it's screaming at the top of its lungs. Right now, it's maintaining connections with cell towers, Wi-Fi routers, Bluetooth devices, and possibly GPS satellites. Each connection requires precisely timed signals traveling at the speed of light through air, walls, and that person standing uncomfortably close to you on public transport. Your cellular connection alone is a masterpiece of physics exploitation. When you're moving, walking, driving, or on a train, your phone experiences the Doppler effect. The frequency of the cellular signal shifts based on your speed relative to the tower. Your phone calculates this shift and compensates for it in real time, essentially doing relativistic physics calculations just so you can doom scroll through social media during your commute. The Wi-Fi in your phone uses something called MIMO, multiple input, multiple output technology. It sends and receives multiple data streams simultaneously on the same frequency by exploiting the fact that each signal takes a slightly different path, bouncing off walls and furniture before reaching its destination. Your phone measures these path differences down to nanoseconds and uses them to separate the data streams. It's like listening to 10 people talking at once in an echo chamber and understanding every conversation perfectly. Here's a mind bender for you. Bluetooth actively fights against the speed of light. It could theoretically reach around the world, but it limits itself to about 10 meters by reducing power and hopping between 79 different frequencies, 1600 times per second. Why? Because at light speed, even tiny reflections can corrupt the signal. Your AirPods are doing more frequency gymnastics than a DJ at a rave, all to maintain a stable connection across the vast distance from your pocket to your ears. And we haven't even talked about how your phone knows where it is. GPS is where the speed of light really flexes its muscles, and things get so weird that Einstein himself would need a moment to process it. But before we go there, drop a comment about the weirdest place your GPS has ever said you were. I bet the speed of light had something to do with it. Speaking of GPS, let me blow your mind with what's happening every time you open Google Maps. 20,000 kilometers above your head, 31 satellites are broadcasting their exact position and time. These signals race toward Earth at the speed of light, taking about 67 milliseconds to reach you. Your phone needs signals from at least 4 satellites to figure out where you are. But here's the kicker. It's not really measuring distance. It's measuring time. GPS calculates distance by measuring how long signals take to travel from satellites to your phone. Distance equals speed times time. And since we know the speed of light, we can calculate distance. But this is where Einstein starts laughing from beyond the grave. Those satellites are moving at 14,000 kilometers per hour. At that speed, special relativity makes their clocks run 7 microseconds per day slower than Earth clocks. But wait, there's more. The satellites are also farther from Earth's gravitational field. According to general relativity, clocks run faster in weaker gravity. This speeds up satellite clocks by 45 microseconds per day. The net effect? Satellite clocks run 38 microseconds per day faster than Earth clocks. That tiny difference would cause an 11-kilometer error every single day if not corrected. Your phone is literally doing Einstein's homework every time it figures out your location. The GPS signal reaching your phone is incredibly weak, so weak it's basically indistinguishable from background noise. Imagine trying to hear someone whispering from across a football stadium during a rock concert. Your phone pulls this impossible signal out of the chaos by matching it against known patterns, effectively amplifying what should be impossible to detect. But here's the part that really melts brains. Your phone's entire concept of time comes from GPS. Every timestamp, every synchronized event, every coordinated handoff between cell towers, it all depends on the atomic clocks in those satellites. The entire internet, the global financial system, even the power grid, all synchronized to the nanosecond using GPS time signals based on the speed of light. When you're video calling someone on the other side of the world, your phone is coordinating with servers, satellites, and systems that all need to agree on exactly what time it is. The packets of data carrying your voice and image are time-stamped, rotated, and reassembled based on this GPS-derived time. Change the speed of light, and suddenly your video calls would look like a badly dubbed kung fu movie from the 70s. Your phone can switch seamlessly between Wi-Fi and cellular without dropping your call because both systems are synchronized to the same GPS time reference. It's juggling multiple data streams arriving at different times from different sources, reordering packets, compensating for delays, and presenting it all as smooth experience. This only works because everyone agrees on the speed of light. The next time your GPS tells you to make a U-turn, remember that it just performed calculations that account for the warping of space-time itself. You're carrying a practical demonstration of both special and general relativity in your pocket, and you mostly use it to find the nearest taco place. If that doesn't make you feel like you're living in the future, I don't know what will. Now let's talk about something you do dozens of times a day without thinking. Taking photos. Your phone's camera isn't just capturing light. It's exploiting the speed of light in ways that would make a physicist weep with joy. Every photo you take involves millions of photons racing into your camera sensor at exactly 299,792,458 meters per second, where they're counted, analyzed, and converted into the questionable selfies filling your camera roll. Your camera sensor is essentially a grid of millions of tiny photon detectors. When light hits these detectors, it knocks electrons loose, the photoelectric effect that won Einstein his Nobel Prize. But here's the kicker. Your phone needs to know exactly when each photon arrived to construct an image. The timing precision required is insane. We're talking about measuring events that happen in nanoseconds. Phase detection autofocus is where things get properly sci-fi. Your phone splits incoming light into two paths and compares them, measuring the phase difference between the two beams. This difference, measured in nanometers, tells your phone exactly how far away your subject is. It's essentially using the wave nature of light to create a rangefinder that works at the speed of light. Change that speed, and every photo you take would be a blurry mess. When you use the flash, your phone actually fires it twice. The first flash happened so fast you can't see it. A pre-flash that measures how much light bounces back and how long it takes. Your phone calculates the distance to your subject and the reflectivity of the scene, then fires the main flash with exactly the right intensity. All of this happens in milliseconds, with calculations based entirely on the speed of light. But here's something that'll really bake your noodle. Your phone's camera can see things you can't. It can detect infrared light, which is why you can sometimes see your TV remote's LED through your camera when you can't see it with your naked eyes. This infrared light travels at the same speed as visible light, and your phone uses it for facial recognition, depth sensing, and those creepy filters that make you look like a dog. The image processing that happens after you take a photo is even more insane. Your phone is analyzing the light patterns, detecting edges by measuring gradients in photon intensity, identifying faces by comparing light reflections off facial features, and adjusting colors by calculating the wavelengths of light captured by each pixel. It's doing Fourier transforms, convolutions, and matrix operations that would have required a supercomputer just 20 years ago. Night mode on your phone is basically cheating physics. It takes multiple exposures over several seconds, tracking the microscopic movements of your shaky hands using the gyroscope and accelerometer, then aligns these images with pixel-perfect precision. It's measuring how light accumulates over time, exploiting the fact that photons arrive at a predictable rate based on the speed of light. The result? Photos in near darkness that look better than what your eyes can see. Let's venture into the realm of your phone's screen technology, where the speed of light isn't just important, it's everything. That gorgeous OLED display you're staring at is essentially millions of tiny light-emitting diodes, each one producing photons at specific wavelengths. When voltage is applied to these organic compounds, electrons get excited and jump to higher energy levels. When they fall back down, they emit photons at exactly the speed of light. But here's the thing, not all pixels respond at the same speed. Blue OLEDs degrade faster than red or green ones. Your phone compensates for this by carefully controlling the voltage and timing to each subpixel, essentially aging them at different rates to maintain color accuracy. It's like conducting an orchestra where some instruments gradually go out of tune, and you have to constantly adjust everyone else to compensate. The refresh rate of your display, whether it's 60 Hz, 90 Hz, or 120 Hz, is all about synchronizing with the speed of light. Each frame has to be drawn in perfect coordination with the backlight or OLED emission. The display controller predicts when to send signals to each pixel, so they all illuminate at exactly the right moment. If the timing is off by even microseconds, you get motion blur, ghosting, or the dreaded jelly scroll effect. HDR, high dynamic range, is your phone showing off its mastery of photon manipulation. It's displaying a wider range of brightness levels than should be possible, from perfect blacks where 0 photons are emitted to blazing whites that can hit 1000 nits of brightness. Your phone is literally controlling the rate of photon emission from millions of pixels simultaneously, creating images with depth and contrast that rival reality. Variable refresh rate is another speed of light magic trick. Your phone can dynamically adjust its refresh rate based on what you're doing, dropping to 1 Hz when displaying a static image to save battery, then ramping up to 120 Hz when you're scrolling. This requires precise synchronization between the processor, display controller, and the pixels themselves, all timed to the nanosecond based on the speed of light. The ambient light sensor in your phone is constantly measuring the photons in your environment, adjusting screen brightness hundreds of times per second. It's not just measuring intensity, it's analyzing the color temperature of ambient light and adjusting your display's white balance accordingly. This is why your screen looks consistent whether you're in harsh fluorescent lighting or warm candlelight. True Tone, Night Shift, and other display technologies are manipulating the wavelengths of light emitted by your screen based on the time of day and ambient conditions. They're literally shifting the spectrum of photons hitting your retinas to reduce eye strain and help regulate your circadian rhythm. Your phone is performing real-time spectral analysis and adjustment that would have required laboratory equipment just a decade ago. Now for something that'll really scramble your neurons: quantum tunneling in your phone's processor. The transistors in modern chips are so small, we're talking 3 to 5 nanometers, that quantum mechanics starts to dominate. Electrons can literally teleport through barriers they shouldn't be able to pass, a phenomenon that depends on both the speed of light and the fundamental uncertainty of quantum mechanics. At these scales, we're not dealing with classical physics anymore. Electrons in your processor exhibit wave-particle duality, existing in probability clouds rather than definite positions. The speed at which quantum states collapse and electrons tunnel through barriers is fundamentally linked to the speed of light through the fine structure constant, a dimensionless number that governs the strength of electromagnetic interactions. Your processor has billions of transistors switching billions of times per second, and each switch involves quantum mechanical processes that happen faster than you can imagine. We're talking femtoseconds, quadrillionths of a second. The engineers designing these chips have to account for quantum effects that seem like they belong in science fiction. Electrons that exist in multiple states simultaneously, quantum interference between electron waves, and tunneling currents that shouldn't exist according to classical physics. The cache memory in your processor is perhaps the most impressive speed of light exploitation. Line 1 cache, the fastest memory, is physically located right next to the processing cores because even at the speed of light, the time it takes for signals to travel a few millimeters matters. Line 2 and L3 caches are progressively farther away and progressively slower, not because the memory itself is slower, but because the speed of light creates unavoidable latency. Here's something that'll melt your brain. Your processor actually predicts the future. Branch prediction algorithms guess which instructions will be needed next and start executing them before it knows for sure. If it guesses wrong, it has to throw away the work and start over. This speculative execution is necessary because even at the speed of light, fetching instructions from memory takes too long to wait for. The power management in your phone is constantly racing against the speed of light. When your processor needs more power, the voltage regulators have to respond within nanoseconds. But changing voltage isn't instantaneous. It takes time for the electric field to propagate through the circuits at the speed of light. Too slow and your processor crashes. Too fast and you waste power generating electromagnetic interference. Thermal throttling is your phone's way of admitting that even the speed of light has limits. When electrons move through resistance, they generate heat. This heat is actually infrared photons being emitted as electrons collide with atoms. When your phone gets too hot, it slows down the processor to reduce the rate of photon emission. You're literally feeling the speed of light as waste heat when your phone gets warm during intensive tasks. Let's talk about 5G, because this is where the speed of light starts to become a real problem. 5G millimeter wave signals operate at frequencies up to 47 GHz. At these frequencies, we're pushing against fundamental physical limits. The wavelength is so short, about 6 millimeters, that raindrops can block the signal. Your phone is literally shooting billions of tiny electromagnetic bullets that can be stopped by a light drizzle. 5G beamforming is absolutely insane when you think about it. Your phone and the cell tower are creating focused beams of electromagnetic radiation that track you as you move. They're using phased array antennas, dozens of tiny antennas that create constructive and destructive interference patterns to steer the beam without any moving parts. It's like having a searchlight that can instantly point in any direction except the beam is invisible and moving at the speed of light. The latency promises of 5G, 1 millisecond or less, bump up against the speed of light itself. Even if every other delay were eliminated, the speed of light limits how fast data can travel. To achieve 1 millisecond latency, the server you're connecting to can't be more than 150 kilometers away, assuming the signal travels in a straight line at the speed of light through fiber-optic cables. Spoiler alert, it doesn't travel in a straight line. Massive MIMO in 5G is using up to 256 antennas at the base station, each one transmitting and receiving independent data streams. Your phone has to process signals arriving from all these antennas, each taking slightly different paths, arriving at slightly different times. It's measuring these time differences down to picoseconds and using them to dramatically increase data rates. We're literally exploiting the finite speed of light to transmit more information. The frequency coordination required for 5G is mind-boggling. Your phone is simultaneously operating on multiple frequency bands: low band for coverage, mid band for capacity, and high band for speed. Each band propagates differently through the atmosphere, buildings, and even your body. Your phone is constantly measuring signal strength, calculating path losses, and deciding which frequency to use, all based on how electromagnetic waves at different frequencies travel at the speed of light through different media. Network slicing in 5G creates virtual networks with different latency requirements. Your phone might be simultaneously connected to a low latency slice for gaming, a high bandwidth slice for video streaming, and a low power slice for IoT sensors. Each slice has different timing requirements, all synchronized to nanosecond precision using GPS-derived time based on the speed of light. The edge computing promise of 5G is entirely about fighting the speed of light. By moving servers closer to you, to the edge of the network, we reduce the distance data has to travel. It's an admission that even with all our technology, we can't make light move any faster. The best we can do is reduce the distance it needs to travel. Your phone's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi are in a constant war with each other, and the speed of light is the battlefield. Both operate in the 2.4 GHz band, which means their signals interfere with each other. Your phone uses adaptive frequency hopping to avoid collisions, jumping between channels thousands of times per second. It's like two people trying to have conversations in the same room by rapidly switching between different languages, hoping they don't pick the same language at the same time. NMFC, near-field communication, is intentionally fighting against the speed of light's desire to propagate everywhere. It operates at 13.56 MHz with a range of just a few centimeters. The antenna is specifically designed to create a weak field that dies off rapidly with distance. When you tap your phone to pay for coffee, you're creating a tiny bubble of electromagnetic communication that exists for just milliseconds before vanishing. Wi-Fi 6E and the new 6 GHz spectrum is pushing into frequencies where the speed of light starts to work against us. Higher frequencies mean shorter wavelengths, which means signals don't penetrate walls as well. Your router might be screaming data at incredible speeds, but that one wall between you and the router might as well be a mountain. The speed of light is constant, but how electromagnetic waves interact with matter changes dramatically with frequency. Your phone's ability to maintain multiple simultaneous connections is a testament to its mastery of time division. It's literally slicing time into tiny chunks, allocating microseconds to each connection in a round-robin fashion. To you, it seems like your phone is simultaneously connected to Wi-Fi, cellular, Bluetooth headphones, and a smartwatch. In reality, it's frantically switching between them thousands of times per second, giving each a tiny slice of attention. The interference your phone causes to other devices is all about the speed of light. Those annoying buzzing sounds speakers make when your phone is nearby, that's electromagnetic interference propagating at the speed of light. Your phone is required by law to limit its emissions to specific power levels to avoid interfering with everything from aeroplane navigation to your neighbor's baby monitor. Beamforming in Wi-Fi 6 is using the same phased array technology as 5G to create focused beams of Wi-Fi directed specifically at your device. Your router is literally sculpting electromagnetic fields in real time, creating constructive interference where you are and destructive interference everywhere else. It's like having a conversation in a crowded room where the sound magically only reaches your ears. The mesh networking in modern Wi-Fi systems is all about fighting the speed of light's latency. Each hop between mesh nodes adds delay as signals propagate at the speed of light between them. Your phone has to decide whether it's better to connect to a closer node with a weaker signal or a farther node with a stronger signal, calculating the total latency including speed of light propagation delays. Let's dive into the absolute insanity that is your phone's modem. This chip is simultaneously juggling connections to multiple cell towers, handling handoffs as you move, aggregating multiple carriers for faster speeds, and doing it all while compensating for the Doppler effect, multipath interference, and atmospheric conditions. It's performing millions of calculations per second, all based on the speed of light. Carrier aggregation is where your phone flexes its speed of light muscles. It's combining multiple frequency bands from potentially different towers to create one fat data pipe. But here's the catch. Signals on different frequencies travel through the atmosphere at slightly different speeds due to atmospheric dispersion. Your phone has to measure these differences and realign the data streams, essentially synchronizing multiple speed of light races happening simultaneously. The handoff between cell towers as you move is a choreographed dance timed to the nanosecond. Your phone is constantly measuring signal strength from multiple towers, predicting when a handoff will be needed, and coordinating with both towers to ensure seamless transition. This all has to happen faster than you notice, which means the coordination messages between your phone and the towers are racing back and forth at the speed of light, trying to stay ahead of your movement. Minimo multiple input multiple output in LTE and 5G is absolutely bonkers. Your phone might have 4 or more antennas, each receiving the same signal that's taken different paths to reach you. Some signals bounce off buildings, some go through trees, some reflect off cars. Each path has a different length, so signals arrive at different times. Your phone measures these time differences down to nanoseconds and uses sophisticated algorithms to combine them into one stronger signal. The voice over LTE VoLTE in your phone is converting your voice to digital packets that race through the network at the speed of light. But here's the thing, the network has to guarantee these packets arrive within a specific time window or your voice sounds robotic. The entire LTE network is designed around ensuring voice packets never take more than a few hundred milliseconds to traverse the network, fighting against the speed of light's latency at every hop. Your phone's emergency calling feature is even more impressive. When you dial emergency services, your phone breaks all the normal rules. It boosts power output beyond normal limits, connects to any available network regardless of carrier, and even uses Wi-Fi calling if available. It's essentially screaming at the speed of light in every direction, hoping someone, anyone, will hear and respond. The spectrum sharing between carriers using dynamic spectrum sharing is like multiple orchestras playing in the same concert hall simultaneously without interfering with each other. Your phone is constantly negotiating with the network about which frequencies to use, which time slots to transmit in, and which power levels to use. This negotiation happens in real time, with messages flying back and forth at the speed of light, adjusting thousands of times per second based on network conditions. Now let's explore how the speed of light affects your phone's battery life, because this is where physics gets really cruel. Every electron moving through your phone's circuits is radiating electromagnetic energy. The faster they move, the more energy they radiate. Your battery is literally fighting against the speed of light's demand for energy radiation, and it's a battle your battery will always eventually lose. Wireless charging is perhaps the most obvious example of the speed of light at work. Your charging pad creates an oscillating magnetic field at a specific frequency, usually around 100 to 200 kHz. This field propagates at the speed of light and induces a current in your phone's receiving coil. But here's the kicker. The efficiency drops off dramatically with distance. Move your phone just a few millimeters off center and the charging speed plummets, because the electromagnetic field spreads out according to the inverse square law. The fast charging in your phone is a careful dance with the speed of light. When you plug in that 65-watt charger, your phone isn't just dumping electricity into the battery, it's carefully monitoring temperature, voltage and current, adjusting hundreds of times per second. The communication between the charger and phone happens through modulation of the power signal itself, with messages encoded in tiny variations in voltage that propagate at the speed of light through the cable. Your phone's power management chip is constantly predicting future power needs based on your usage patterns. It has to request power from the battery before it's actually needed, because even at the speed of light, it takes time for the electric field to propagate through the circuits. Request power too late, and your processor stalls. Request it too early, and you waste battery on unused current. The wireless signals your phone transmits are literally draining your battery at the speed of light. Every photon of electromagnetic radiation leaving your phone's antennas carries away energy that came from your battery. The farther away the cell tower, the more photons your phone needs to send to maintain a connection. This is why your battery drains faster in areas with poor reception. Your phone is screaming louder, sending more photons racing away at the speed of light. Sleep states in your phone are all about minimizing the speed of light energy drain. When your screen turns off, your processor downclocks, radios power down to minimal levels, and only essential circuits remain active. But even in deep sleep, your phone is periodically waking up, sending quick bursts of electromagnetic radiation to check for messages, then going back to sleep. It's like someone periodically shouting "anyone there" into the darkness at the speed of light. The battery percentage your phone displays is actually a complex calculation based on voltage, current draw, temperature, and the battery's age. Your phone is constantly measuring the voltage across the battery terminals, but this voltage changes based on load, draw more current, and voltage drops due to internal resistance. Your phone has to model this behavior in real time, predicting how much energy is actually available based on how fast you're draining it. Let's talk about something that'll blow your mind. Your phone is constantly lying to you about signal strength. Those bars you see? They're not actually measuring signal strength. They're measuring signal to noise ratio. Your phone could be receiving a strong signal, but if there's lots of electromagnetic interference at the same frequency, you'll see fewer bars. It's measuring the quality of photons arriving at the speed of light, not just their quantity. The airplane mode in your phone isn't just turning off radios, it's stopping your phone from screaming electromagnetic radiation in every direction. When airplane mode is off, your phone is constantly broadcasting its presence, even when you're not using it. These broadcasts race away at the speed of light, potentially reaching receivers kilometers away. Airlines worry these signals might interfere with navigation equipment, though modern planes are heavily shielded. Your phone's SAR, specific absorption rate, rating measures how much electromagnetic radiation your body absorbs when using the phone. Every photon racing away from your phone's antennas at the speed of light has a chance of being absorbed by your tissue, converting electromagnetic energy into heat. Regulations limit this to 1.6 watts per kilogram in the US, which is why your phone reduces power when it detects it's close to your head. The proximity sensor that turns off your screen during calls uses infrared light to detect when something is near. It emits infrared photons that race out at the speed of light, bounce off your face, and return to the sensor. The time of flight is measured in picoseconds. If something is close enough to reflect these photons quickly, the screen turns off. It's literally using the speed of light to figure out if your face is near. App refresh in the background is your phone trying to predict the future to compensate for the speed of light's latency. It fetches new emails, messages, and updates before you ask for them, hiding the time it takes for data to travel from servers potentially thousands of kilometers away. Your phone is gambling battery life against the possibility you'll want fresh data, all because the speed of light isn't fast enough for truly instant communication. The location services constantly running on your phone are triangulating your position using cell towers, Wi-Fi access points, and GPS satellites. Each method depends on measuring signals traveling at the speed of light from known positions. Your phone combines all these measurements, weighing their accuracy based on signal strength, number of sources, and how recently they were updated. It's performing sensor fusion at the speed of light. Push notifications are racing to your phone at the speed of light from servers around the world. But here's the clever part. Your phone isn't constantly checking for new notifications. Instead, it maintains a single persistent connection to Apple or Google's push notification servers. When an app wants to send you a notification, it tells these servers, which then send a tiny packet racing to your phone at the speed of light. This single connection approach saves massive amounts of battery compared to every app maintaining its own connection. The augmented reality features in your phone are where the speed of light really shows off. When you point your camera at the world with AR enabled, your phone is performing real-time photogrammetry, measuring the world using light. It's analyzing how long light takes to travel from objects to your camera, detecting edges by measuring light gradients, and identifying surfaces by analyzing how light reflects off them. LiDAR in newer phones is literally shooting invisible laser pulses at your environment and measuring how long they take to bounce back. We're talking about measuring time differences of picoseconds to determine if something is 1 meter or 1 meter and 1 centimeter away. Your phone is creating a 3D map of your environment by racing photons around the room at the speed of light, up to hundreds of thousands of times per second. Face ID is even more impressive. It projects a grid of 30,000 infrared dots onto your face, each racing out at the speed of light. The infrared camera captures how these dots distort based on your facial features, creating a 3D map accurate to millimeters. But it doesn't stop there. It also uses the time of flight of these infrared photons to detect if it's looking at a real face or a photograph. A photo would reflect all photons from the same distance, while a real face has depth. The machine learning processors in your phone are optimizing for the speed of light in ways you wouldn't expect. Neural networks are essentially massive matrix multiplications, and the physical layout of the neural processing unit is designed to minimize the distance signals need to travel between multiplication units. They're literally arranging transistors to minimize speed of light delays in artificial intelligence calculations. Your phone's secure element, where your payment information and biometric data are stored, is physically isolated from the main processor. Communication between them happens through encrypted channels, with messages racing back and forth at the speed of light through dedicated traces on the circuit board. This physical isolation means even if malware compromises your main processor, it can't access your secure data without going through channels that the secure element controls. The random number generator in your phone used for encryption and security actually uses quantum mechanical noise from transistors as a source of true randomness. It's measuring the unpredictable behavior of electrons moving at significant fractions of the speed of light through semiconductor junctions. Your phone is literally using quantum uncertainty and the speed of light to generate unbreakable encryption keys. When your phone backs up to the cloud, it's not just sending data, it's negotiating complex protocols to ensure data integrity despite the speed of light delays. It sends chunks of data, waits for acknowledgement, adjusts its sending rate based on how quickly acknowledgements return, and retransmits lost packets. It's constantly measuring round-trip time to servers potentially on the other side of the planet, adapting its behavior to the speed of light latency. So here we are, At the end of our journey through the electromagnetic insanity that is your smartphone, let's talk about what happens when it all comes together. When billions of transistors, dozens of antennas, millions of pixels, and countless photons all work in perfect harmony. Your phone isn't just using the speed of light. It's conducting a symphony where every instrument is tuned to 299,792,458 meters per second. Every morning when your alarm goes off, it's because a crystal oscillator in your phone vibrated exactly the right number of times, counting seconds based on vibrations that are ultimately calibrated against atomic clocks that measure the speed of light. The sound waves from your speaker propagate at 343 meters per second through air, but the electrical signals that create them race through circuits at 2/3 the speed of light. Even the LED flash that might accompany your alarm is emitting photons at exactly the speed of light, no faster, no slower. When you unlock your phone with your face, you're initiating a cascade of speed of light interactions. Infrared photons race from your phone to your face and back. The reflected pattern is captured by sensors that convert photons to electrons. These electrical signals propagate through circuits to the secure enclave, where they're compared against stored patterns. The authentication token races back to the main processor, which then sends signals to the display controller to show your home screen. All of this happens in less than a second, with signals covering the equivalent of several trips around the Earth at the speed of light. Scrolling through social media seems simple, but it's actually a masterclass in speed of light coordination. Your finger's movement is detected by changes in capacitance that propagate through the touch sensor. The processor calculates momentum and acceleration, predicting where you want to scroll. It requests data from memory, sends drawing commands to the graphics processor, which renders frames and sends them to the display. Meanwhile, the radio is requesting new content from servers potentially thousands of kilometers away. All these operations are choreographed down to the nanosecond. When you take a photo and instantly share it, you're initiating a speed of light race around the globe. The image data races from the camera sensor to the processor for enhancement. It's compressed using algorithms that exploit patterns in how light interacts with sensors. The compressed data races to the radio, where it's encoded into electromagnetic waves that scream toward the nearest cell tower. From there, it bounces through fiber-optic cables at 2/3 the speed of light, potentially crossing oceans until it reaches Instagram's servers. Then the entire process reverses for everyone who sees your post. Video calls are perhaps the most impressive speed of light symphony. Your camera is capturing light 30 or 60 times per second. Each frame is compressed, packetized, and sent racing through the network. Simultaneously, packets are arriving from the other person being decompressed and displayed. Your voice is being encoded and sent while theirs is being received and played. All of this is happening with latency measured in milliseconds, despite signals potentially traveling tens of thousands of kilometers. The synchronization required is mind-boggling. Gaming on your phone pushes speed of light coordination to its limits. Your touches are interpreted as commands that affect a virtual world. These commands race to game servers that might be continents away. The server updates the game state and sends it back. Your phone predicts what will happen during the round-trip time, showing you a predicted state that gets corrected when the actual state arrives. It's constantly balancing prediction, correction, and interpolation, all while fighting against the fundamental limit of the speed of light. The future of smartphones is essentially a battle against the speed of light. As we demand faster responses, lower latency, and more immersive experiences, we keep running into the brick wall of 299,792,458 meters per second. Engineers are getting creative. Edge computing brings servers closer to reduced distance. Quantum entanglement might one day enable faster than light information transfer, and new materials might allow signals to propagate closer to the true speed of light. But for now, we're stuck with this cosmic speed limit, and honestly, it's incredible what we've achieved within its constraints. Your smartphone is processing information at rates that would have seemed impossible just decades ago. It's coordinating with satellites in space, servers across oceans, and billions of other devices, all synchronized to the nanosecond. It's capturing reality through cameras, creating virtual worlds through displays, and connecting you to anyone, anywhere, all by exploiting the speed of light. Think about this: every notification you receive has traveled at the speed of light from someone who might be on the opposite side of Earth. Every video you watch has been encoded into patterns of light and dark, transmitted as electromagnetic waves, and reconstructed on your screen. Every voice call is your actual voice being converted to patterns of electromagnetic radiation that race through space to reach someone's ear. We've turned the speed of light into a carrier pigeon that delivers billions of messages per second. The heat your phone generates, the battery it drains, the signals it sends and receives, all of these are consequences of operating at the edge of what physics allows. We're pushing electrons to their limits, forcing them to dance at speeds that generate quantum effects. We're synchronizing global systems to precisions measured in billions of seconds. We're literally bending the rules of physics to their breaking point, all so you can share memes and watch cat videos. Your smartphone is a monument to humanity's mastery over the electromagnetic force. It's a device that exploits nearly every aspect of how light and electricity behave, from the quantum tunneling in its processor to the relativistic corrections in its GPS, from the wave interference in its antennas to the photoelectric effect in its cameras. Your phone is a practical application of almost every electromagnetic phenomenon physicists have discovered, and yet we take it for granted. We get frustrated when a web page takes 3 seconds to load, not realizing that in those 3 seconds, data has potentially traveled hundreds of thousands of kilometers at the maximum speed the universe allows. We complain about lag in video calls, not appreciating that we're having real-time conversations with people on the opposite side of a sphere, 12,742 kilometers in diameter. We expect instant everything, forgetting that instant is literally impossible in a universe with a finite speed of light. The next time you use your phone, take a moment to appreciate the absolute insanity of what's happening. Billions of electrons racing through circuits at relativistic speeds, photons screaming through space to satellites and back, quantum effects being exploited for computation and communication, all of it synchronized, coordinated, and controlled to create the illusion of simplicity. Your smartphone isn't just a tool, it's a demonstration that humans have learned to harness the fundamental forces of the universe. So, where does this leave us? You're holding a device that exists at the intersection of human ingenuity and cosmic law. Every feature, every capability, every limitation is ultimately defined by the speed of light. Change that speed, and your phone doesn't just work differently, it stops being possible. The entire architecture, from the spacing of transistors on chips to the protocols of global communication networks, assumes that electromagnetic waves propagate at exactly 299,792,458 meters per second. This isn't just trivia, it's a profound reminder that we live in a universe with rules, and those rules shape everything we create. The speed of light isn't just a number in a physics textbook, it's the beating heart of the information age. Every piece of digital technology, from your smartphone to the servers running the internet to the satellites orbiting Earth, is designed around this cosmic constant. The fact that we've learned to exploit these rules so thoroughly is honestly mind-blowing. In less than a century, we've gone from discovering that electromagnetic waves exist to using them to create pocket-sized devices more powerful than the computers that sent humans to the moon. We've built a global nervous system of fiber-optic cables and radio waves, all pulsing with information at the speed of light. We've essentially wired our entire civilization to operate at the maximum speed the universe allows. And your smartphone is perhaps the ultimate expression of this achievement. It's not just using the speed of light, it's pushing against its limits in every possible way. Every optimization, every innovation, every increase in performance is ultimately about doing more within the constraints of this cosmic speed limit. We can't make light go faster, so we make our devices smarter about how they use it. The next generation of technology will continue this battle against the speed of light. Quantum computers might exploit quantum entanglement to perform certain calculations faster. Neuromorphic chips might process information more like brains, reducing the need for signals to travel long distances. New materials might allow signals to propagate closer to the true speed of light. But whatever comes next, it will still be shaped by this fundamental constant. So the next time someone asks you why physics matters in the real world, just pull out your phone, tell them about the GPS satellites doing relativistic math above their head. Explain how their touchscreen uses the speed of light to figure out where they tapped. Describe the electromagnetic symphony happening inside their device every nanosecond. Show them that physics isn't just about abstract equations, it's about the device they can't imagine living without. Comment below about which aspect of your phone's speed of light dependency surprised you the most. Was it the GPS relativistic corrections, the quantum tunneling in the processor, the fact that your phone is constantly screaming electromagnetic radiation in all directions? Or maybe something else entirely that made you see your device in a new light? Pun absolutely intended. And hey, if you made it this far, you've just spent the last half hour learning about relativistic physics, quantum mechanics, and electromagnetic theory, all disguised as a video about your phone. You've essentially taken a graduate-level physics course while sitting on your couch. That deserves a like, maybe a subscribe, and definitely sharing with that friend who thinks physics is boring. Because here's the truth, we're living in the future. We're carrying devices that exploit the fundamental nature of reality to connect us across vast distances instantly. Well, as instantly as the universe allows, we've turned the speed of light from a cosmic limitation into humanity's greatest tool. And the craziest part, we're just getting started. The speed of light might be constant, but human ingenuity keeps finding new ways to exploit it. Your smartphone is proof that understanding the universe's rules doesn't limit us. It empowers us to do things that once seemed impossible. And that, honestly, is the most incredible thing about that little glowing rectangle in your pocket.